Welcome to a badly lit and I think possibly audially strange episode of Tolkien Trivia, dealing with the old canard. Why didn't the Eagles, blah blah blah? Why didn't the Eagles particularly take Frodo and drop him into Mount Doom like a precision bomb with the ring, so that the ring would be destroyed and Sauron would be defeated? And I'll discuss that, and I think there's an obvious answer that gets put out, which is true and good, and is, in a sense, the ultimate cause of the decision making involved. But there might also be another efficient or secondary cause, which is worth addressing, which I don't think I've come across before. So here's the obvious reason, and you don't need to come to my channel to get this. This is not really Tolkien trivia. This is just weird debates about Lord of the Rings. Basically, there's obvious reasons why the Eagles did not, like a modern Air Force, fly Frodo in like a paratrooper and drop him at Mount Doom, hoping for the best, hoping that he would get it there. Sauron would see them coming, and Sauron would be able to respond, whether it was with Ballistian Scorpions, whether it was with a guard on Mount Doom itself, an Orodruin, or whether it was the Fell Beasts, depending on when he created them, or other flying monsters. We don't know if he had any access to anything else that could fly. Simply put, the Eagles would not have been able to get Frodo landed at Mount Doom to drop off the ring without being detected and without being stopped. So, simply put, it wasn't plausible. But there's another reason why I think it's an important reason to have in mind when we think about why the eagles do stuff, and it's to do with what the eagles are, the great eagles, the giant eagles of Middle-earth. They are um, a creation, not ultimately, ultimately they are, but not sorry, I actually mean immediately, not immediately, a creation of God, Eru Iluvatar, who creates humans and elves. But they are like dwarves and like ents, and I suppose, in a limited sense, like orcs, a creation of an archangel. So dwarves are made by Aule, the craft god or archangel. Ents are made as protectors of the trees by Yavanna, the goddess of the forest. And uh, eagles are made by Manwë, the king of the Valar, the archangels, and they're his messengers and agents in Middle-earth. And they're very, very active in the Silmarillion. They're incredibly active, in fact. They turn up everywhere, doing his will in Middle-earth and helping the good guys and bringing messages and so on and so forth. And to the point, when we did a reading group on this last year, we had a very good time reading the Silmarillion. One thing was, we did find it funny sometimes how you could kind of almost tell it was time for the eagles to arrive. And there's obviously that habit of the eagles arriving just in the nick of time in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings at several points in both. But there's a difference, I think, in the way they're presented. The eagles in the Silmarillion are presented as just these. They are the agents of the King of the Gods. They are very much the biggest good guys you can imagine. They are the shock troops of heaven or something like that. They are easily quantifiable. Whereas in The Hobbit, we're introduced to them, and they're dangerous. They rescue the hobbits, but there are warnings from Gandalf about how to deal with them and how to talk to them, and essentially not to take them lightly. They are crazy wild creatures who may do good or may do, well, not evil, but maybe wild, maybe animals. And then similarly, not so explicitly in the Lord of the Rings, but what happens? How does Gandalf get in touch? He sends a moth, and they come and rescue him, sure, and then they are sent finally to rescue Frodo. But they don't. But they don't. As with the Battle of the Five Armies in The Hobbit, there's no great signal they're coming. There's no obviousness. It's not quantifiable, even though you may see it as a continuation of the pattern in the Silmarillion. And I wonder whether the fact that the world has been changed and been made round after the War of Wrath, after the fall of Númenor, the fact that there's no longer access between Middle-earth and Valinor, the home of the gods. I wonder if there's some sense that Manwë is further away from action. He's less involved. There is a general sense at the end of both the Silmarillion and the Akallabeth, there will be less engagement from the gods going forward compared to what there was before. The help they send to the forces of good in the Third Age is the wizards, who are indeed junior gods or junior angels, but they run the game. You have fewer or less involvement from the gods in that age. I don't think, for instance, I can't think of an instance of Ulmo directly engaging or interfering as he does in the first age, the god of the sea. So I wonder whether the eagles become, much like the Ents in a sense, become cut off and less effective or isolated. They lose the Entwives, they no longer have Entlings, and they become disengaged from the world. I wonder if that isn't to do with the same thing, that you see these creations of the gods um, perhaps just going a bit adrift, and so the eagles become powerful, and they're always powerful. They're still helpful, but they become dangerous as well. They become unpredictable, more animalistic than they were. And that perhaps explains why you don't say, "Oh, Gwai here, King of the Eagles, do you want to come to the Council of Elrond?" Ah, okay, you don't think you can help, fair enough. Could you at least attack the Crebain of Dunland on the way? There's no such conversation. It simply be unthinkable to treat the Eagles in that way. Maybe because of their dignity, but then there is an angel at the Council of Elrond. There is Mithrandir Gandalf, Olorin, but perhaps instead it's that the eagles are strange and dangerous animals now. They are no longer the known agents of Manwë, King of the Gods. Anyway, you tell me what you think of my theory, and also tell me which worrying film or sort of threatening YouTube tirade this lighting reminds you of in the comments, and I will see you next time.